My sister married my abusive ex. I tried to warn her, but she said I was jealous. Now she's in a coma. Trigger warning: if you are sensitive to topics of DV, please for your peace, click off. Hello reader. I will try to keep this brief. I honestly don't even know how to start this. My hands are still shaking. I never imagined I'd be writing something like this, but after everything that's happened, after everything I warned them about, I need to get this out. I need to tell someone. Maybe then I can finally breathe. Here's a little backstory. I 32F was married to a man named Tyler. When we first met, I was 22 and dumb. He was 27, tall, charismatic, and devilishly charming. He had that dangerous kind of confidence that pulls you in, and before you realize what's going on there's a chain around your neck. At first, it was like a dream. He'd take me out to expensive dinners, send flowers to my job, text me good morning every day. I'd never had anyone treat me like I was the center of the universe. But slowly, things shifted. The compliments started getting backhanded. You'd be prettier if you wore less makeup. Why do you talk so much in front of my friends? I just want what's best for you. Then came the rules. I couldn't wear skirts that showed my knees. I couldn't hang out with my coworker Liam because he obviously wants to screw you. I couldn't visit my sister without texting him updates every hour. But I was so in love, or at least, I thought I was, that I kept making excuses. The first time he hit me, we were married just over a year. It was a slap, quick and shocking. I was crying because my mother had just gone through surgery and I couldn't be there for her due to work. He told me to stop sniveling like a brat, and when I told him to go to hell, he slapped me. Then he cried. Begged. He kept saying, "I lost control, baby. You just pushed me. You know I love you, right?" I wanted to believe him, so I did. I was isolated by then. My friends had drifted, my sister, Rachel, 28F, lived in another city, and our parents always loved Tyler. They thought he was successful and refined. His family was wealthy, polished, and connected. They called us a power couple. Over the next 3 years, the abuse worsened. The slaps turned to punches. The apologies turned into gaslighting. I lost count of how many times I heard, "You're being dramatic. I didn't even hit you that hard. You made me do it." I tried to leave twice, but he'd pull me back in, love bombing me, swearing he'd change. And when he couldn't, he made threats. "If you leave, I'll destroy you." Eventually, I did leave. I ended up in the ER one night with a fractured rib and a dislocated shoulder. A nurse gave me a knowing once over, then looked me in the eyes and whispered, "You don't have to go back." I don't know what it was in that moment. I don't know why her words resonated so deeply. Maybe because for the first time in a long time, she saw me, not the facade. Maybe I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I didn't go back to him this time. I filed a police report the very first chance I got. I gathered any evidence I could find, texts, voicemails, pictures, and doctor visits. I got ready to fight. But Tyler's family had deep pockets and slick lawyers. In the end, all he got was 6 months probation. That's it. My life was shattered and he just got to walk away. We divorced, obviously. It took everything in me to crawl out of that hole. I went to therapy. I moved cities. I rebuilt my life brick by brick. But what happened next almost broke me again. Rachel, my sister, my only sister, betrayed me in a way that shook me and threatened to tear down the serenity that I had worked so hard to earn since leaving Tyler. Rachel is my beautiful, amazing sister who I used to call my best friend. We always had each other's back growing up. I remember she used to braid my hair before school, and I covered for her when she snuck out to see boys. She was wild, but I loved her. She'd even cried with me the night I got out of the hospital after Tyler's beating. She had gotten on a flight as soon as she heard what happened. She saw the bruises. She knew what he did. A year after my divorce, I found out this very sister was dating Tyler. At first, I thought it was a sick joke. She told me over FaceTime, all smiles and starry eyes. He's different now, sis. He's in therapy. He talks about how bad he feels. Maybe you guys just weren't compatible. I couldn't breathe. I begged her. Literally begged. I told her every horrific thing he'd done. I reminded her of the bruises, the hospital, the nights I'd called crying. She shook her head and said, "You're exaggerating. You're being dramatic again. Maybe you provoked him. You're kind of controlling when you're in a relationship, you know." That broke something in me. I hung up on her and dialed our folks. I needed reinforcements. Tyler had claws into Rachel too deeply. When my mom finally answered, I spilt everything. When I finished, there was a long awkward silence. Then she began to speak. Did my mother validate my fears? No. Did she agree to talk some sense into Rachel? No. Was she shocked? No. Our parents? They sided with her. Apparently, my parents already knew about the relationship and thought it was a good thing. Tyler has always been polite to us, they said. Maybe you're not over him. Rachel deserves a chance at happiness. Don't be selfish, Lena. He comes from a good family and he's wealthy. Don't ruin this for her. They called me jealous. Delusional. I tried one last time to talk to Rachel. When I called her again, to my surprise, Tyler answered the phone. He immediately went into a tirade. Lena, you're a real piece of work, you know that. Why don't you just get out of our lives and stay out? You're not here because you care, you're here because you're bitter, jealous, and desperate to drag me down with you. But guess what? Your lies won't ruin me, no matter how hard you try. I heard Rachel yell out an affirmative in the background. She also told me to just mind my own business because she was happy and Tyler's found the right woman this time. I hung up and decided right then to cut them all off. It's like that saying, you can't save someone that doesn't want to be saved. This is one of those times where the person has to see the error themselves to recognize the truth. I just pray she figures it out soon. Do not call me cruel, Reddit. I had little choice. I couldn't risk my mental health. I had come so far and I didn't want to lose myself again. They would occasionally try reaching out, but I kept my distance. 2 years went by and I got to a point where I could say I was mostly healed. Then came the invitation from my mother. A family reunion cruise. 7 days in the Caribbean. I almost deleted the email immediately, but a part of me hesitated. I was exhausted. I had recently gotten a promotion at work, and though the pay bump was great, the extra workload was taking some getting used to. Also, on top of that, I had started volunteering at the local women's shelter. I was definitely burning the candle at both ends. I needed a break. I hadn't had a real vacation in years. I thought, maybe this was a chance to make peace with my family. I truly did miss them. Against my better judgment, I agreed to go. Afterwards, I booked an emergency appointment with my therapist. She told me she was proud of me for taking this step, but in order to not jeopardize my progress, I had to keep a few things in mind. First and foremost, I needed to establish emotional and physical boundaries. I had to decide in advance what I was willing to discuss and tolerate. I needed to let go of the need for agreement. Reconnection doesn't mean full agreement. I must learn to coexist with my family, and unfortunately that now included Tyler. He and Rachel married about a year ago. We must congregate while having different values and memories of the same event. Stay positive and neutral. I can't expect my relationships with them to return to how they were. I need to focus on building something new. And finally, if it doesn't work out, it is what is. At least I tried and won't have to live with the what-ifs. I was ready to reconcile. As I went to the website to book the reservation, my heart pounded in my chest. After a few deep breaths, I felt silly. There was a reunion on a mega cruise ship. If any problem arose or if things got awkward, I'm sure I could avoid them easily and have a solo vacation. With that, I finished my booking and giddily anticipated my trip. Let's fast forward to day 1. Our initial meetup at check-in was tense. Awkward would be an understatement. My mom and dad seemed genuinely happy to see me. When they went in for a hug, I didn't shy away. There were strained smiles and polite compliments on my appearance. Rachel and Tyler, on the other hand, acted like nothing had ever happened. Rachel squealed and gave me a big hug I didn't return. Tyler tried to shake my hand, even winked at me once when Rachel wasn't looking. I would have no parts of it. I completely ignored him. I never made eye contact, just watched him out of my peripheral and always kept at least 15 feet away from him. I had already made up my mind to act like he didn't exist. Once on the ship, I stuck to my room. When they messaged me on the cruise up later to join them for an activity, I declined but told them I would be available for dinner. Dinner was what I thought of as a baby step toward appeasement. We met up in one of the ship's main dining rooms. The meal was pleasant and conversation was light. We asked each other safe questions. I continued to ignore Tyler. Every time he would begin to speak to me, I would start talking to someone else. I could tell he was getting upset. He had a look on his face that once upon a time would have me break out in a cold sweat, but not anymore. Rachel reached over to comfort him and he violently snatched away. The first time he did it, my breath caught. Everyone at the table fell silent. Realizing he was causing a minor scene, he quickly tried to play it off and reached back out for my sister's hand, giving it a kiss. While wrapping up dinner, I informed my family I had a full itinerary planned out and probably wouldn't run into them often. My mom looked sad and Rachel rolled her eyes, but we agreed to have dinner every night as a family. I figure it wouldn't hurt. Other than that, I had already made plans that didn't involve them: excursions alone, reading books by the pool, cooking classes, ice skating, you name it, I signed up for it. By day 3 things started to escalate. At dinner, Tyler kept making passive-aggressive comments. Some people just can't move on, right honey? Rachel giggled like it was a private joke. My dad glared at me like I was the one causing tension. All I could think was, here goes the BS. Tyler was now comfortable, and he will proceed to show his whole ass. I focused on my food and didn't engage further with any of them. Day 5. I woke to screaming. Not horror movie screaming, but arguing. It came from the hallway outside my cabin. I instantly knew the voices. I jumped from my bed and raced to the door. I stepped out into the hall and saw Rachel in a silk robe, face red and swollen, shrieking at Tyler. Who the hell was that woman with her hands all over you? Babe, it wasn't like that. I was just having a drink. He reached out to grab her hand, but she stepped back. You weren't just having a drink. You were slurring your words, laughing like an idiot, and practically breathing down her neck. I saw you touch her back. It was nothing. She was just being friendly, Tyler shot back. You made me look like a fool in front of an entire deck of strangers. You're overreacting. I said it was nothing. A chill ran down my spine. His voice was suddenly very cold. Yeah, right, nothing. You know what, Tyler? I think I figured you out. You strut around like some kind of ladies' man, but let's be honest, half the reason you're chasing attention is because you know damn well you're not delivering at home. You flirt like Casanova, but in bed? You're barely a footnote. Spending money on a woman is the only time you'll get her happy. Tyler lost it. He grabbed her. Rachel let out a sharp gasp. Then he shoved her against the wall. Hard. Then came the fists. I screamed. Other passengers who had come out their room to see what was going on also screamed. Cruise security arrived within minutes. Rachel was unconscious by the time they managed to pull him off her. She hit her head when she fell. There was blood all over the carpet. They had to medevac her to a hospital on the nearest island in Jamaica. My parents and I went with her, effectively ending our vacation. Rachel was in a coma for 3 days. 3 agonizing days. Tyler was arrested. No more slaps on the wrist this time. There were witnesses, security footage, and a pattern of abuse now that the police could finally use. He's still in custody and likely won't see sunlight for a long time. Then came the fallout. As we sat in the hospital, my parents sobbed uncontrollably. "We were wrong," my mom whispered. "You tried to protect her. And we failed you both." My dad, who once told me to move on and stop bringing up the past, couldn't even look me in the eye. This was not the time for "I told you so's." I didn't feel vindicated, I just felt sadness. I looked over Rachel. She looked so frail in the bed, her face black and blue. In that moment I hated Tyler more than ever. Rachel woke up yesterday. She was alive. Bruised. Shattered. But alive. She looked around the room confused. I could tell the exact moment she remembered what happened. Her face crumbled. Her head turned towards me and tears welled up in her eyes. She reached for my hand and whispered, "I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. I didn't believe you. I thought I was different. I thought I could fix him." I cried with her and I held her hand for hours. But Reddit, I'm so tired. I don't even know how to forgive them all. Not yet. Not completely. This could have been avoided. I thought it was gone, but since the attack, resentment within my heart was rearing its ugly head again. I'm happy that Rachel is going to be okay. I wanted to be wrong about Tyler. I prayed that maybe he had changed. But I wasn't. And now Rachel paying the price. She has a very long road of recovery ahead of her, both physically and mentally. I know because I've walked that same road. I don't know exactly what the future holds for us, but I will be with her every step of the way through this process, and hopefully forever. Update, 3 months later. Hi Reddit. A few of you asked me to come back and update. I've been meaning to, but it's taken me a while to process everything. Things have been a whirlwind. But I'm in a better place now, and I wanted to share what happened after the cruise, after the arrest, and after my sister Rachel woke up. First of all, thank you. Your comments, messages, and kind words meant more to me than I can explain. For a long time, I felt completely alone. You made me feel seen. So here goes. Rachel stayed in the hospital on the island for over a week. I stayed at a nearby Airbnb and visited her every day. It was surreal sitting at her bedside, seeing her hooked up to machines, remembering when I had been in the hospital all those years ago, except no one had stood beside my bed like that. I guess that's what hurt the most. When she finally woke up fully, we cried. Both of us. Ugly, gut-wrenching sobs. She kept apologizing between breaths. "I didn't believe you," she said. "I thought he hit you because you made him. I thought if I was better, quieter, prettier, more loving, he wouldn't hurt me." That was the dagger in my heart. Because I remembered those thoughts. I'd had them, too. We talked for hours every day. Sometimes we didn't even speak, just sat in silence, hands clasped. She didn't ask for forgiveness right away, and I didn't offer it. We let the pain sit between us until it softened. The aftermath. Tyler is still in custody. This time, there are no lawyers slick enough to get him out of it. She gave them details I didn't even know. The cruelty had escalated behind closed doors. She told the truth. His family tried to step in again, of course. Tried to mitigate the damage. Tried to convince Rachel to drop charges. But this time, she told them to go to hell. My parents? They're a mess. Especially my mom. She hasn't stopped crying since we returned from the island. She admitted she believed Tyler because it was easier. Easier to see me as dramatic than to confront the horror of what he'd done. I told her that her apology didn't erase the years I spent alone. She nodded. I know. But I'll never stop trying to make it right. That's the most I can ask for now. Rachel has moved in with me. We're taking it one day at a time. She's in therapy twice a week. I'm back in therapy too. It's strange, this new version of us. We cook dinner together. We watch trashy reality TV and laugh too loudly. Sometimes we cry. But we're rebuilding, piece by piece. She told me she's terrified of being alone. Of trusting again. Of herself. Because she ignored every red flag. I told her I understand more than she knows. I'm not sure our relationship will ever go back to the way it was when we were little girls painting each other's nails and whispering secrets under a blanket fort. But maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe this new version of us, raw, scarred, and honest, is stronger. And me? I took some of the PTO I'd hoarded for years and traveled alone for the first time since the divorce. Just me, a backpack, and a flight to the Pacific Northwest. I hiked. I sat by the ocean. I even got a tattoo, tiny and discreet on my ribcage. It says, I stayed. Because I did. I stayed alive. I stayed when it was hard. I stayed when everyone left. And now? I'm finally starting to live. Oh, and one last thing. There's someone new. A man I met on my solo trip. His name is Elijah. He's quiet, kind, and gentle in a way that doesn't need to be loud to feel powerful. We're taking it slow. But he listens when I speak. He doesn't flinch at my past. He asks questions without pressing. He respects my boundaries. And that, to me, feels like magic. To anyone out there trying to heal after being hurt, ignored, or silenced. I see you. I believe you. And you are not alone. Seek help discreetly. There are many resources available. Trust the process.